It's all in your hands. You have it in your power to return President Trump to the White House and Dave McCormick to the Senate to give us a conservative governing majority. And to send Kamala Harris back to San Francisco. Which is exactly where Kamala Harris belongs. A San Francisco liberal who has time and time again broken it, but Donald Trump will fix it. Remember when President Trump was in the White House? We had good times. Prices were low, wages were up, our border was secure, and the world was peaceful and stable. And under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, everything has gone to hell in a handbasket. They spent trillions of dollars that we don't have, unleashing the inflation that's eaten a hole in your family's budget. They opened our border to more than 10 million illegal aliens, which has brought crime and chaos and drugs into our streets. We have major wars around the world because with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House, Uncle Sam is wearing a kick me sign on his back. At every turn, Kamala Harris and Bob Casey, their rubber stamp in the U.S. Senate, has pushed a radical agenda that doesn't protect your interests and doesn't advance your aspirations and dreams and ambitions for you and your family and your community and your state and our nation. But the time to end it all is tomorrow. Dave McCormick will be your champion in the United States Senate. There'll be no more rubber stamping. There'll be no more rubber stamping. Higher taxes, crazy regulations, runaway spending, an open border, and crazy San Francisco ideas. Dave McCormick will be a great senator for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, just like Donald Trump will be a great president once again. So are you ready, Pennsylvania? Are you ready to send Donald Trump back to the White House? Are you ready to send Dave McCormick to the Senate? And are you ready to send Kamala Harris back to San Francisco? Let's go out tomorrow and do it. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage former United States Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo.
Pennsylvania. It is great to be with you all today. Thank you for coming out on this incredibly special day. We can now count the hours. We can now count the hours till America heads back in the right direction. You know, I have traveled the world some these last 3 years, and I get asked all the time, what was it like being Donald Trump's Secretary of State? And I have to tell you, I have given the same answer hundreds of times. It was the greatest privilege of my life. It was the greatest privilege of my life because what President Trump was able to achieve was to keep you and your family safe and secure. And what these folks have done in the last 3.5 years have put every one of us at risk. And if there were 4 more years, if there were to be a President Harris, we would have more wars, we would have less peace, and America would never be put first. We can't let that happen. I watch the bad guys in the world take advantage of President Biden and Vice President Harris, and I know the difference between a strong, effective leader like Donald Trump and someone like Vice President Harris, who will only lead to more chaos and more risk in the world. I've also had an enormous benefit. I've had the chance to know Dave McCormick for almost 40 years. We were cadets at West Point a few years back. And the difference between Bob Casey and Dave McCormick could not be more clear. When our founders, if I said that, my wife would be furious, but I concur. Bob Casey sucks. I agree. You know, when our founders thought about what senators should look like, they couldn't have known Dave McCormick, but they certainly knew the type. They knew someone of character. They knew someone who worked their rear end off. They knew someone who had served America in uniform. And they knew someone who was absolutely fearless and would never apologize for the United States of America. Never. I could not be more honored to be here today, safe and secure, and to introduce to this stage here in Pennsylvania, your next senator and my dear friend, Dave McCormick. Dave, bless you.
Be the one I was born to run, I was born for this. Whip, run me like a racehorse, pull me like a ripcord, break me down and build me up. I wanna be the slip, word upon your lip, ready to rip, break me down and build me up, whatever it takes. 'Cause I love the adrenaline in my veins, I do whatever it takes. 'Cause I love how it feels when I break.
The great Mike Pompeo, thank you. Thank you, Mike Pompeo. This is the greatest guy. He and I have so much in common. Thank you, thank you. I love you too. I'm so honored to be here with y'all today. We have a lot in common. Mike was first in his class at West Point, first in his class. And I was 501st, so we got that in common. It's so great to be here with such a great group of patriots. And let me start with the most fundamental question. Are you ready to fire Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and put President Trump back in the White House? We gotta do it, folks. This is the one, right? And the other thing I wanna ask you, which is a very important question, are you ready to retire Bob Casey and send Chuck Schumer packing? These guys are killing us, right? This is the most important election of our lifetimes. Us old guys, we remember every election cycle. People say, this is the most important election of our lifetimes. They say it every time. But I want to ask you, can you think of another election where the consequences of getting it wrong were so great? Where the risk of getting the wrong people in place would literally take our country over a cliff where we don't recognize the America we love for our children. That's why this election is the most important of our lifetimes. It really is. It really is. And this choice, it couldn't be more clear. It couldn't be more clear, right? It's the choice at the top of the ticket between strength, the guy you saw at Butler saying, fight, 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 right? And weakness. The weakness of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, where every adversary in the world is testing us, challenging us, because they think we're weak. It's a choice between common sense policies. It's common sense that you can't spend $5 trillion more money and not have sky-high prices, right? It's common sense. We got to unlock our energy sector because Pennsylvania is the 4th largest natural gas reserves in the world. It's common sense. It's common sense. We got to secure that border and stop this incredible scourge of fentanyl that's coming across those borders, killing our innocent children. We heard about it today. It's common sense that the only way we can have peace is to have strength. Our military, the most lethal in the world, and the strength of leadership to make sure our adversaries don't test us. Peace through strength. That's common sense. And Kamala Harris represents the most extreme liberal agenda we've had in modern history. In her own words, she wants to ban fracking, transition energy workers. She wants to have mandatory buybacks of your guns. She wants to have citizenship for illegal immigrants and pay them federal benefits. She wants to defund the police. The other thing she wants to do, which really ticks off my friends where I grew up in Bloomsburg, she wants to reduce your red meat consumption. That's not going to fly. It's not going to fly here in Pennsylvania. Those ideas may work in liberal San Francisco. They don't work right here in Pennsylvania, do they? And the choice for your Senate, and President Trump needs a majority in the Senate. He needs a strong leader from Pennsylvania to get our country back on track. The choice between me and Bob Casey couldn't be more clear. Could not be more clear. It's the choice between an outsider, someone who's a seventh-generation Pennsylvanian, someone who grew up wrestling and playing football in towns like Shikellamy and Chickasha, North Schuylkill and Selinsgrove, someone who went to West Point, co-captain of the wrestling team, Ranger School, 82nd Airborne Division, Iraq. Someone who's run a company in Pittsburgh that created hundreds of jobs. And my opponent was born with a political spoon in his mouth, right? My mom is from Punxsutawney, so I call him Punxsutawney Bob. I don't want to be disrespectful. I call him Punxsutawney Bob because he's like Punxsutawney Phil. He pops his head up every 6 years for 6 months, makes a bunch of noise, and then he goes right back into his hole. He has been weak. When the bullets start flying, Bob Casey ducks. He ducks every time, and he votes 98.6% of the time with the extreme liberal agenda of Kamala Harris. This is a guy who votes for sanctuary cities, against the Border Patrol. Right now, I'm a father of 6 daughters. He votes for males being able to compete in women's sports. You know, Bob Casey went to the Senate, said he was going to change Washington. Washington changed Bob Casey, right? But here's what really, really ticks me off. I just heard this a couple of weeks ago. Somebody came up to me and they said, you know, I heard you're running for the Casey seat. I said, hell no, I'm not running for the Casey seat. This isn't an entitlement. You don't get the seat because your dad was a famous governor. You got to earn it every day, every election, fighting for the people of Pennsylvania. Now, this is the people's seat, right? This is your seat. This is your seat. And that's why this election is so important. We need the leadership of President Trump in the White House. We need my leadership fighting for you in the United States Senate. And we need you. We need you. We can't get there alone. Last time I ran, I sort of was a little shy. I said, I hope you'll vote for me. I need a lot more than that. If you want to win, if you want to change the direction of the country, I need you to put out your signs. I need you to tell 10 people and tell 10 people. I need you to show up on Election Day if you haven't voted already. I need you to say your prayers because this is a contact sport for those that are in the arena. I need you to fight for this election like your life depends on it. Because it does. And if we do what we say, if we get out there, if we fight until the buzzer blows, if we run through the tape, we get all of us out there to vote, we will look back on this election. And we will look back on Wednesday when we have the results of a new Senate majority and President Trump in the White House, and we will say, Tuesday is the day that we saved America. Tuesday is the day that we saved it for our children. Tuesday is the day that we got America back on the right track and made Pennsylvania great again. God bless you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. Let's go save our country. Thank you.
Whatever it takes, 'cause I love the adrenaline in my veins. I do whatever it takes, 'cause I love how it feels when I break the chains. Whatever it takes, you take me to the top. I'm ready for whatever it takes, 'cause I love the adrenaline in my veins.
What a lineup. We just heard from some Republican superstars who all showed up to support President Donald J. Trump on the eve of this great election.
The final day. It's pretty hard to believe it's here. I'm Matt Cain, joined by Christina Loren, and it really is the last day of the most historic campaign in American political history. Tomorrow, we will all vote for Donald J. Trump, hopefully making him the 47th president of the United States. Before we bring you some coverage, we do want to encourage everybody who has not voted yet, where early voting still is open in your state. Stop watching right now, get out and vote, but if not, make sure you get in line early tomorrow. Make sure you vote on Election Day so that your vote will count and we can send President Trump back to the White House.
I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than this. We have been leading up to this. If you've been watching our coverage, we have been covering rallies. It's hard to believe this is the last full rally day before we get a decision in this pivotal election. If you have been enjoying our coverage, we could not have brought one moment of it to you without our generous sponsors. RSBN has grown. Our founder, Joe Seals, he started it up in 2015, and look at where RSBN is today. And it's because of sponsors like Birch Gold. The Biden-Harris regime, as you know, they have reduced our purchasing power. Our dollars don't go as far as they did 4 years ago. They continue their reckless government spending nonetheless, but our friends at Birch Gold Group, they want to help you diversify your hard-earned savings by investing in tried and true precious metals. Even if we're blessed with a Donald J. Trump presidency, and God willing we will be, it's going to take some time for the economy to rebound. Protect your hard-earned savings with our friends, the experts at Birch Gold Group. Right now we're facing greedy government, economic upheavals, and there's global strife in every corner of the world. You can protect your IRA or your 401k today with Birch Gold Group, because after all, it's a very uncertain time. One thing that you want to be certain about is your finances. You can get a free info kit by texting the word Trump to 989898, and if you make a purchase, you will get that free Donald J. Trump silver coin with his fist defiantly in the air as he said, "Fight, fight, fight." After that sad but powerful day in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th, which was not too long ago, get your free silver coin, get a free info kit today by texting the word Trump to 989898. And Matt, this is Pennsylvania. It could all come down to this state. It has before, and it likely will again.
It definitely could, and that's why President Trump will be making 2 stops here today. He just wrapped up in Raleigh, North Carolina, now heading right here to Reading, Pennsylvania. After this, he'll shoot over to Pittsburgh before, of course, wrapping up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he always does, which is such an important state as well. But staying on the topic of Pennsylvania, this is one of the most important states. Depending on what network you tuned into 8 years ago, Pennsylvania in some states was what put President Trump over the 270 electoral vote threshold. People in this state are well aware of that. They're very excited to get out and vote because they really feel, perhaps more in this state than in any other state, that their vote could be the one that sends President Trump over the top. But I want to talk a little bit about yesterday's rallies for President Trump. He's all over the country, and I heard a lot of people complaining yesterday that President Trump was very dark in some of his speeches because he was heavily focused on election integrity and making sure that no fraud takes place. But I have to be honest with you, this is it right here. We could all celebrate right now and act like everything's going to be perfect, and that would be great if that's the case. But in the meantime, we need to be made aware of these things because in 2020, so much went wrong, and one of the ways you could really prevent that from happening again is getting ahead of it. After the fact, it's so hard to make changes to what went on election night or during early voting. So President Trump right now is making it a point to highlight some of the problems that went on in Pennsylvania. And it's not that that's a bad thing. It's not negative. It's actually something that we should be happy about, because a lot of these things, you saw what happened in Bucks County, they've already been fixed throughout the court system. A judge extended early voting after it was determined that voters were turned away, told to get offline. So be optimistic. The numbers are with President Trump. I think he's going to drive great turnout. But at the same time, when you go out to vote today or even tomorrow, be vigilant. Look around look around you to see what's going on at polling places. Unfortunately, that is the reality, but it's so important for President Trump to keep highlighting that as we approach Election Day, just a couple hours away now.
Yeah, those poll watchers are everything. As you may recall, this is Joe Biden's home state, so it's not surprising that he took Pennsylvania in 2020. But here's the deal. He didn't take it by a large margin. It was 81,000 votes. And, you know, we obviously question the voting integrity of the last election. This go around, it feels a lot more safe, but the records show 81,000 votes kept Donald J. Trump from winning the presidency. This state is so important. If you're joining us right now from the state of Pennsylvania, make sure that you cast your vote. Now, the difference between early voting and voting tomorrow is that you don't have to wait in the long lines. Early voting typically happens in just a few places in the county. Tomorrow, you go to your polling place. You may have to wait a couple hours, maybe 3 hours, but it's not going to be the 6-hour waits that we saw during early voting. That's because there were a limited number of places actually available for early voting.
And early voting has been so great so far for the Republican Party. You see the early turnout numbers. Now in 2020, even right now, President Trump wants to return, if he's back in the White House, at some point to one-day common sense paper ballot voting. But in the meantime, you have to use the rules that are at play. And it's nice to see that a large portion of his supporters are listening to him, because if voter turnout was low, you would see that that message was not resonating. But instead what you're seeing, even in places like New Jersey, a state that's predominantly blue, you're seeing Republicans are outpacing Democrats in early vote turnout. Now, I still expect Republicans to outpace them on Election Day as well. Nothing has changed on the Democrat side. Democrats always rack up their leads with early voting, and the Republicans are chasing from behind on Election Day. Now you're seeing President Trump at a lot of these rallies. He asked his audience, how many of you have voted early? And sometimes it's only about a quarter to one-third of the arena maybe, and we're leading in those states. So the fact that a large majority, I think it's a majority, but at worst case, I guess it's 50-50, a very large number of President Trump supporters, which I believe this election will be at least 90 million, perhaps surpass 100 million voters. They still have yet to vote, and Republicans are racking up the lead. So right now it's important to not get complacent, but I don't know about you, Christina. I don't think anyone's going to be complacent this year. I know in years past, perhaps people believe they have a lead, they stay home. There was a lot of rumors about that being the case with Hillary Clinton in 2016 maybe. But I know here in President Trump supporters right now, they understand the stakes, and I'm expecting big turnout for the president on Election Day as well.
Absolutely. You have to think about back in 2020, we were still in the throes of the pandemic. People didn't want to go out and wait in line when you had COVID to worry about. So it's going to be quite different in this election. What's interesting about early voting is that we will likely get the returns on a lot of these states in the voting on election night. And remember, RSBN is going to be pulling an all-nighter for you. Our coverage starts at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Join myself, Matthew Alvarez, Bobby McNeely. We're going to be holding it down in the studio. We'll also have a team in Palm Beach, the Trump viewing party. We've been invited to watch that with you. So don't forget, it all starts tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'm hoping it's not a long night. I'm hoping that we have a landslide Trump victory, Lord willing. And you know what? There's still time to pray. God hears our prayers. He protected President Trump for a reason. Pray, but most importantly, get out and vote if you haven't done it just yet, because we can't let God, obviously he's in control, but we have free will. We can't just put it in his hands. We've been blessed with the civic duty to cast our vote. And this time, if you want to protect Christian fundamentals, you cast that vote for Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, you know, you have to meet your prayers with action, right? Obviously, prayer is important, but also you have to do your part. And you mentioned election night. I don't know if anyone's quite sure what to expect tomorrow night. We know that the Democrat Party, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, whoever controls them, they do not want to relinquish power to anybody, let alone President Trump. They've obviously been after him for such a long time now. And you're sensing some panic on their side. Obviously, you're seeing a lot of last-minute events for Kamala Harris. They were in an unwinnable position. They obviously knew she was not popular amongst the base. That's why they avoided a primary system, installed her after the votes were already counted. But then after that, the fake polls that showed her surging allegedly in the aftermath, that didn't catch on. People saw through it. Now they're in a position where they want to send Kamala Harris out there to, I guess, try to interact with people a little bit better, maybe gain some favorability. But the problem is, the more people get to know Kamala Harris, the less they like her, and the more people get to know President Trump, really going on 50 years now, the more popular he becomes. Most times after a president has been around for 8 years, their appeal has drawn down a little bit and people don't want to hear from them anymore. And instead it's the opposite with President Trump. He keeps getting more popular, so I don't feel bad for them. They deserve everything they get, but the Democrat Party is in a very bad position right now. You can sense there's not a lot of confidence amongst Kamala Harris and however many supporters she has. But again, Tuesday night, a lot's going to go on. We know that they might delay the count in some of these states because they're going to do whatever they can to make sure President Trump does not return. You just have to stay vigilant and really see what happens.
A true New Yorker. You're not going to get any sympathy for Matt Cain. You know what's interesting is Kamala Harris today, she's door knocking here in Pennsylvania, okay? Kamala Harris is the last person I want knocking on my door, okay? I wonder where she's headed, but I bet you the door gets slammed in the face of people that she's door knocking with for today. That's a dangerous endeavor for her to do, especially in this state, which is showing more and more signs of going red. After that, she's going to head over to a Puerto Rican restaurant with everybody's favorite climate activist and non-scientist, AOC. They're also going to be with Governor Shapiro. And so these are some of the last attempts, the last-ditch efforts that she's making to win over this state.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. I mean, if you're still campaigning this desperately, and what I mean by that is last minute. Now, President Trump has already planned on coming here weeks in advance. You knew he was going to make a play here. For Kamala Harris to almost come off as surprised that, oh, the election's tomorrow, let's go make these impromptu campaign stops, pretty much tells you they may have taken it for granted. Perhaps it's incompetence on the part of the campaign because it's really been a disaster. Even look at the vice presidential pick of Tim Walz. Vice presidents never win an election, but they can cost you an election. He's been a disaster, obviously. You watch the debate with him and J.D. Vance. It was night and day. Neither of those people on the Democrat ticket exude confidence. You could sense that amongst the people. We go out here, we talk to people on the street when we go out or we're traveling to these battleground states, allegedly. There's not a lot of hunger for Kamala Harris, so we'll have to see how tomorrow unfolds. But before we do that, we want to read you a message from our friends at AMAC. During this critical election, there's a lot on the line for all Americans. That is why it's more important now than ever to stay informed, stay involved, and join a community that stands for your values. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. Members receive a subscription to the AMAC magazine, exclusive discounts on a wide range of benefits, free resources, trusted news, and so much more. President Trump said it best when he said, AMAC is great. AMAC stands strong on the issues that matter to you, securing our borders, protecting Medicare, and preserving the integrity of our elections. AMAC also fights to protect your freedom and sees that your voice is heard in Washington. So join AMAC today. Be a part of the movement that champions your values. Visit amac.us/RSBN or call 1-888-262-2006 to become a member and make a difference. That's amac.us/RSBN or call 1-888-262-2006. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the end of this era right now. It's been, President Trump has even been a bit nostalgic about it. He's at least acknowledging the fact that this is really the end, and God willing, he becomes president again. There'll maybe be a victory tour rally. There might be rallies for the midterms and even when he leaves office in 4 years. But this is really the last time, the last day that President Trump will appear on a rally stage throughout the country as a candidate on a ballot for the general election to hopefully return to the White House. How are you feeling as it wraps up? This is your last rally. This is my last rally. What's going through your mind right now?
You know, it's bittersweet because obviously if he's in the White House, everything was worth it. But these rallies have been an opportunity for people to connect, and these rallies transcend politics. The people who come to these rallies, they want freedom. They want a better economy. They want to be able to raise their kids and have the American dream. It's not just about politics. It's about America. And it's interesting because a Kamala Harris rally is so different than what you're going to find here. Even though
I didn't even know she had them.
Oh, yeah. She brings her celebrity friends.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, she does.
That's
and
true.
You know what? It's hard when you've got these elitists, these people who are millionaires and billionaires telling us who to vote for when we can't even afford groceries. We can't even afford gas. We can't fill up our tanks because of Kamala Harris. And then she says that she's for the working class, and it's an insult.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, they say Beyonce's coming. Beyonce's coming to perform for Kamala Harris before the rally. She speaks for 3 minutes. She leaves. Everybody else leaves with her. Kamala Harris is standing up there, really not knowing what to do. But it's a polar opposite of what President Trump's rallies are. You mentioned hope. These last 4 years have been very dark for the country as a whole, and the Trump rally is really where people came to be inspired, to feel hope, to mobilize, ultimately with the hopes of bringing him back to the White House. So obviously if he wins, I think that sadness or any bittersweetness to them ending will change. But in the meantime, we have to return him there. And if he does return to the White House, I think any feelings of the end of the Trump era will quickly change into what can be. President Trump has been talking about the golden era coming the next couple of years if he's back in the White House. And I've said this on air the last couple of days. The moment you see Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, stepping up to the podium behind the seal of the President of the United States of America, whether that be Inauguration Day, a State of the Union address, the White House Christmas message, which everybody loves, prior to the last 4 years where Joe Biden and Jill Biden have really made a mockery of the Christian faith. I think once that happens, people will be very excited about what's happening. I think President Trump, too, he's alluded to the fact that this is the end of an era. It might be different. We'll meet in some form, but it all really depends on tomorrow. But I'm definitely trying to take in these last moments here at this rally. I know it's been such a privilege for me to be in the arena, metaphorically and figuratively, depending on where we are. But it's really incredible to see these people, and you need hope, even over the last 4 years. So for the people that come here, when you're in these arenas, I've noticed that no matter what year it was during these rallies, people did not leave here feeling dark and gloomy, despite the fact that they'd leave here and go pay $4 for gas. They'd see the world on fire, the border being overrun. President Trump brings hope to people in this country, even when he's not in the White House. I mean, the last 4 years, anytime something's gone wrong, people aren't dying to hear what Joe Biden or Kamala have to say to it. In fact, President Trump usually addresses the nation first. He's on the ground in places like North Carolina whenever there's a natural disaster. So he is America's leader, and now I think it's time for America's leader to go back into the most important position in the country, and hopefully that happens tomorrow night.
Absolutely. One of the ways that he inspired hope is he's got a track record, a proven track record. Inflation was 1.4% when he was in office. We just heard from Mike Pompeo. What a treat to hear from President Trump's former cabinet member, former Secretary of State, a man who cares deeply about protecting Israel. Peace in the Middle East is a top voting issue for many. Now here in the state of Pennsylvania, fracking could actually be the decision maker for many people, because especially in the rural communities in Pennsylvania, fracking is what drives the economy. And Kamala Harris said on camera that she wanted to get rid of fracking in a public forum on television. In fact, I've got her exact quote here. I can tell you exactly what she said, because it's shameful that in a state that relies on fracking to produce natural gas, that she would say that she, without a doubt, wanted to get rid of fracking, without question. It's unbelievable what that would do to the state. Now, she's backtracked on those comments, obviously, but we don't believe her. If she can't even tell the truth about working at McDonald's, how are we supposed to believe anything that she says? And this is the people's livelihoods. Natural gas is everything in Pennsylvania to so many. And she's going to go ahead and do what she's going to do if she takes office. She's making a bunch of empty promises right now. If you are an undecided voter, please take a look at her track record of lying and flip-flopping. Whereas President Trump is a man of his word. He walks his talk.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, we're no longer in the days of the horse and buggy or the carrier pigeon. Every time one of these people says something, and all politicians do it every election cycle, they change their stance suddenly. It's out there forever. So we have just 5 years ago Kamala Harris saying there's no question she's in favor of banning fracking. Now she says, I would never be in favor of banning fracking. And that's really the Democrat MO. Everything they say now, they've advocated for the opposite many years ago. And that, I think, is a main reason why they're struggling so much with these early turnout numbers, because everything's at our fingertips now. The mainstream media is becoming less and less influential. You're seeing their numbers crater, while alt media, alternative media, even places like RSBN here, podcasts, different forums, everyone's numbers are through the roof because people can see through that now. So after 10 years of President Trump exposing that, you can't just lie anymore and expect people to go along with it. Kamala Harris, a part of the Biden administration, he's well known to have a major lying problem himself. People understand them now. That's why you see a bit of a frantic, a panicness coming through the Democrat Party, the Harris campaign. But something I've been noticing a lot of late is in 2020, all the talk was about when Joe Biden's president, when Donald Trump is no longer president. There was this arrogance about them Obviously, we now know they plan on exploiting the mail-in ballots with COVID. Right now, you don't hear even left-wing mainstream media talking all that much about a Kamala Harris presidency. Instead, they're fear-mongering the nation into how bad a Donald Trump presidency would be. That, to me, is a big tell. They're obviously going to try to do whatever they can today and tomorrow night when the counting starts, but you can almost see a shift in their rhetoric as well, prepping to maybe a plan B, a phase 2, where if Donald Trump really does make it too big to rig, they'll obviously then step into making life as hard as possible for him in the lead up to his inauguration and during his term. But to me, at least, that's a good sign that even the media feels right now that they can't just gaslight everybody into accepting a Kamala Harris win if it's that unbelievable.
No, it's just another way that they went ahead and flip-flopped again, because it was all about joyful vibes, and then the next thing you know, it's about hateful name-calling. And so, I mean, one thing that people really need to pay attention to, and this didn't get a lot of press because it just happened on Friday, we just got the latest jobs numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Only 12,000 jobs were created in the month of October. That is the worst jobs report that we have had in 4 years. It doesn't get more telling than that. If you want a better economy, if you want safety, closed borders, you vote for Donald J. Trump. There's no question about it.
Yeah, there's no question right now, and I think that's the key right now. The people we speak to, and we don't just speak to Trump supporters when we go here, we really seek people out in the crowd, even on the street, wherever we are. Kamala Harris is only running on not being Donald Trump. Donald Trump is running on his successes from the past, his new innovative agenda, and also exposing how bad Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the entire party has become. That's a winning formula. You do not win elections simply by saying, I'm not the other candidate, because in the hypothetical scenario where you win on that, the day after the election, people are going to say, well, what are you for then? And that's not something people vote for. People want to vote for as close to a sure thing as possible. There is no more sure thing than President Donald Trump. He delivered us 4 great years. I know the next 4 years would probably be even better, especially with the country so united behind him after 4 years of this chaos. So it's pretty incredible. And this is the last day, at least on the campaign trail, that RSBN will be out here 4 times a day bringing you that coverage. We can't do that without our sponsors, so we want to give you a message from our friends at Ultra Right Beer. They have something really special for you today. Conservative Dad's Ultra Right Beer has a limited edition Trump Fight beer can featuring the iconic image of President Trump yelling "Fight, fight, fight" after his assassination attempt. You may recall Conservative Dad's limited edition Revenge beer cans featuring President Trump's mugshot last year. Those cans are selling for as much as $500 a case now on eBay. These are sure to be just as collectible, if not more, so grab a 6-pack before these are gone. Just visit TrumpFightBeer.com. Conservative Dads is a company long supportive of President Trump. They give a portion of their proceeds to fight for conservative causes. Owner Seth Weathers has personally donated over $25,000 to President Trump's re-election, as well as $100,000 to the Georgia Trump electors fighting the unjust Fani Willis prosecution. Visit TrumpFightBeer.com and use discount code RSBN to save 10% off on your order now. These aren't going to last long, and you definitely don't want to have to pay the markup price buying these on eBay a year from now. So visit TrumpFightBeer.com.
You know, it's interesting. Also in the news, Kamala Harris recently was asked about her vote in California. And there's a measure on the ballot called Prop 36. And it toughens up on crime in California. As you probably know, thieves can walk into a store and take up to almost $1,000 worth of goods right off the shelves and walk out. Now, 70% of the state has shown support for Prop 36, but when Kamala Harris was asked about which way she voted on it, she wouldn't give an answer. Okay, that alone is questionable. It's telling. You know, if she cannot give us a hard answer on what she voted in a state where 70% of the people want this, I mean, can you trust her with anything? Is she going to be wishy-washy like this with our foreign adversaries? What's going to happen when Xi Jinping of China makes a move? What is she going to do then? Not tell us what she's going to do? She needs to be able to make hard, fast decisions on a dime, like President Trump has shown us he can. And I'm very skeptical about her leadership, and God forbid she wins.
Well, Kamala Harris has disqualified herself multiple times throughout this campaign, whether it's her flip-flopping on issues. You mentioned what's going on in California. That is such an easy political answer. Any skilled, even if you want to say slimy politician, could have come up with a credible answer there. It's common sense. That's not something anybody wants, and she can't answer it. That either means she's more radical than even we believe, or she's incompetent. How do you not know how to respond to that question? You know it's coming at some point, and that's really how she is with everything. Everyone knows when she goes on The View, that's a very favorable set of interviewers, if you want to call them interviewers. I know you love ripping on The View.
Oh, I love The View.
Those are your favorite people.
But it enlightens you. It makes you feel good when you're done watching it. You get smarter.
So she goes on The View, and everybody knows what they're going to be asking her. Softball questions, use them as sound bites to make her look better. They asked her what you would do differently than Joe Biden. She couldn't answer the question. Now, any Democrat politician beyond Kamala Harris would know, you'll be aware of the fact that it's a very unpopular administration. She's the number 2 in that administration. She has to separate herself if she wants any chance. And she instead basically gives the Trump campaign a free ad. They could have heard her response, immediately clipped that, and then played the "I'm Donald Trump and I approve this" message. Every time she speaks, it makes her less popular. She becomes less popular, then they feel the need to run her out there to try to convince the masses it's the other way around. And she seems to dig herself a deeper hole every time she speaks. And then they want us to believe that these 50-50 polls are accurate and credible, while early vote returns show Republicans leading in Democrat states. There's just nothing really organic about the Harris campaign. There's no signs of true enthusiasm. Then you come to Donald Trump rallies, there's lines out the door for blocks and blocks. There's just such a stark contrast right now between the two campaigns, and I think, God forbid they get away with trying to pull some of these strings tomorrow night, that would be very hard to convince the country that Kamala Harris somehow inspired people to get more votes than, I guess, Joe Biden, right? I mean, they say he had the most votes of all time. I doubt that. But it's going to be really hard to convince the people in this country who are so in touch with common sense that she was able to mobilize enough supporters to become the president of the United States.
The actual voter turnout this election, I mean, I think that's something that we could all bet money on. It is going to be higher than ever before. Now, when you look at the state of Pennsylvania, it's interesting because I have been watching these races very closely. I like to watch the polls. You can't really trust the polls. You got to take them with a grain of salt. But in this race, Pennsylvania is as tight as it gets. Right now, we have reports. President Trump's still winning, by the way. I'm going to lead with that before giving you the numbers. At this moment, Kamala Harris and President Trump are tied at 48%. That's according to a recent Siena survey. Meanwhile, President Trump is up 47 to 46 in the latest Quinnipiac poll. And then here's the big one, and this is what really gives me confidence. President Trump is up by 0.2% in the 538 poll. Now, obviously, that's Nate Silver. Nate Silver is a statistician. He's incredibly intelligent, and he has already gone out on a limb and said that he's going to trust his gut that President Trump is going to win. And that Quinnipiac poll is also typically a poll that favors Democrats. So we have good news so far, but we cannot let our guard down. You have to vote. You got to make sure that your friends and neighbors have voted. Even if it means just giving them a phone call and saying, hey, did you get to your polling place just yet? Are you ready to vote? On the 5th of November, Liberation Day in this country. Just make sure that you reach out and you check and you remind, because people are busy and nobody wants to wait in line. So if you plan ahead, you can make it a lot easier on yourself and your neighbors.
Now, here's the way you have to look at the polls right now, and I understand completely. When you see a poll that shows President Trump up by 1 point on Kamala Harris or even trailing, margin of error, obviously that's a little bit infuriating because you use the eye test, you talk to people on your own, and you know that that's not the case. But in years past, they would release polls similar to the one they released in Iowa this week. That's obviously a blatant suppression poll saying he's down by 3. A couple years ago, in 2020, they said the night before the election, Donald Trump is trailing Joe Biden, Wisconsin, by 17 points. Ended up being a razor-thin margin there, even with all that went on. So when you look at these polls right now, you have to realize, in years past, President Trump was always trailing heading into Election Day, at least according to the polls, by 8 points, 7 points, 10 points. Now he's winning by 1. There's no reason to think that Trump supporters now take polls. I mean, I don't know anyone who's been polled. I don't know if you have. President Trump mentions he's never been called for a poll. He's been in the spotlight, political, for many years now. So I don't really know where these polls are coming from, but what I will tell you is there's always a significant silent Trump voter. Now, they might wear their hats in public now more than they used to, but in terms of polling, they don't like giving that information out over the phone. A lot of the time, they don't even bother reaching out to them. So when you see these polls of Trump +1, on the surface, it's a little bit aggravating because I know that's not the case, and a lot of people feel the same way. But then you realize, wait a second, they usually miss by about 8 points, 6 points, 10 points. Well, that bodes very well for President Trump. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be the case again in 2024. There still is that demonization of Trump supporters, even though a lot more people are now speaking out about it. But, I mean, look, 10 days ago, MAGA was categorized by the literal Democrat Party that is one of the two options that Americans have right now as fascists, as Hitler sympathizers, as garbage. I mean, these are things that we've all heard over the last 10 days, but if you really think about that, who's going to pick up a phone in that scenario and tell some random stranger that I'm voting for Donald Trump? They're not going to do it, which, again, that's fine. Whether you're the one at the front of the line waving the flag or you're sitting at home telling nobody, your vote counts the same. So President Trump really has that silent majority, silent voter, silent Trump voter appeal that always comes out on Election Day. So when you see these Trump +1 polls, Trump -1 polls, that's very good news for the president, actually.
You know, it's interesting as well, Joe Biden coming out and making these negative comments. Not only did he call Trump supporters garbage, he also said that they needed a smack in the ass. That's offensive, okay? I don't want to think about him doing that to me. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of things wrong with that comment.
He's weird enough. I mean, look, Joe Biden over the years has made many weird comments about, you know, the young girls in the pool touching his wet leg hair. I mean, he's obviously, look, he's no Donald Trump, let's put it that way.
That's for
Every
sure.
time Donald Trump says something, for the most part, it becomes this new meme-worthy, viral, wholesome content. He's earned that right after all. He's sacrificed. Joe Biden is the exact opposite. You saw him on Halloween. There's that viral video of President Trump always putting the candy on the little minion's head. Everybody gets a good laugh out of it. Joe Biden, instead, he's biting on children's feet 2 days ago at the White House. I mean, there's just such a difference in really both the parties, and it's ironic that they tried to label Donald Trump and J.D. Vance as weird when it seems every single time they emerge from the basement and actually try to show a human side, people would actually rather them go back into the basement. They're really off-putting. It's a very weird party. Look at their policy, what they advocate for. Late-term abortion, sex changes for minors, tampons in men's bathrooms. The list goes on and on. You don't even have to repeat them at this point because everybody knows about them. But it's ironic that they try to paint the party of common sense, the party of low taxes, a strong border, low crime, strong military, peace around the world as weird while they do all the things they do on a pretty regular basis. It's pretty ironic.
It's unfortunate because, you know, it's not tampons in men's bathroom. It's tampons in little boys' bathrooms. That's scary. You know, something that President Trump has offered is free school choice. Parents having more control over what happens in their children's lives. That is so important. That's one of the topics that people don't really talk about. He wants to give us free school choice. And you talked about J.D. Vance and the polls. Well, J.D. Vance in his Senate race, he actually, they predicted, the polls, that he was going to lose. Yeah. But he won +6 points. So we really can't trust the polls. And thank God he won, because now he's a vice presidential candidate that we can all stand behind. You know, something else we can all stand behind is being healthy, protecting our health. Our health is our wealth. And we don't know what's going to happen. If we don't get a quick election decision in this country and it's prolonged and we've got to wait, you want to make sure that you have taken care of your family, provided in every single way, in case we have any sort of trouble to deal with. I don't want to make any bold predictions, but in this country right now, things are so unsettled, they're so heated. It's a really good time to start thinking about the future and how you can protect you and your family from illness. The pandemic crept up on us. We didn't expect it. Our friends at the Wellness Company have created a product that we can all benefit from. It's the Contagion Emergency Kit. This Contagion Emergency Kit is loaded with incredibly valuable life-saving medications. There's nothing more valuable than staying healthy. And you know that if you've ever been sick. And this is respiratory season. This is flu season. This is when we get those respiratory illnesses, upper respiratory in particular. And you can protect yourself from having to go into an emergency room or an urgent care if you have the medications that you need on hand. You can get those from our friends at the Wellness Company with the Contagion Emergency Kit. This kit comes with ivermectin, Z-Pak, budesonide, and it comes with that all-important nebulizer as well. It was made just for treating upper respiratory illness. Don't risk being told no when your family's health is on the line. The Contagion Emergency Kit gives you control, and we're still offering that significant, it's a deep discount, $60 off, plus you'll get free shipping if you order while time permits. MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Use that promo code RSBN to save up to $60 off, plus you'll get free shipping. That's makecaregreatagain.com with the promo code RSBN. And I do want to say, Matt, President Trump is slated to be here in 5 minutes from now, but we know that he was a little bit late to his first stop, but that he can take his time. We'll wait for him as long as we've waited 4 long years. We'll continue to wait for him, but he's supposed to be speaking here in 5 minutes, so I just want to keep you up to date with the timeline.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, does anyone else have any other plans today? I mean, if you're here today, you're fully prepared to take in this last day of the most historic movement in American history. I keep saying the most historic campaign, and this campaign was different from his first two, but this whole movement, it's really culminating to right now. You think about the last 10 years. It started as media attacks against Donald Trump, and he said, okay, that might be expected. He's always been a little bit adversarial with the media throughout his time prior to being political. And then he took office, and it was an impeachment. And impeachment was pretty historic. We haven't had many presidents impeached. And then on his way out of office, they did it again. But really, something changed. They did it twice. Something really changed the moment he announced he was running this time around. Instead of them going through the political system to try to smear him with the media, they shifted their focus to literal attempts on his life. And that's also not just through the attempt at Butler or the one at his West Palm Beach golf course just 2 months ago. But if you think about what they're trying to throw at him in the courts, and I mean, he's still facing sentencing on November 26th that people aren't talking about right now, perhaps rightfully so because the election's tomorrow, but they want to send him to prison potentially for the rest of his life.
34 felonies.
I mean, look, that's an attempt on someone's life. You want to throw a man behind bars, an innocent man behind bars, to die there? I mean, look, this is what he's up against right now. So when President Trump is out there, there's obviously certain times where he speaks very strongly about what we're up against, and all of the media up here that probably hates right side broadcasting, but that's okay because they're obviously not doing the right thing. When they get angry when he speaks strongly about the enemy from within, there is an enemy from within. It's undeniable right now. You look at the fact that we don't even have a president right now. Joe Biden's the president. He's not really the president. Kamala Harris, maybe you think it's her, but she can't even speak coherently for more than 2 seconds without having someone read her lines. I mean, we are presidentless right now. The closest thing to a president is undeniably Donald Trump, but he doesn't wield the power. He's not in the White House, so America is obviously being run by people. We don't even quite know who they are. That's a very scary prospect. There is an enemy from within. President Trump is well within his rights to speak about that. If you have a president who can't talk about the serious issues, what do you have? It's important to know about the enemy from within because if you look at all the enemies they claim that we have, President Xi of China, President Putin, Kim Jong-un, yes, those are definitely adversaries for the United States of America on the global stage, but they behaved, I mean, for a lack of a better term, they behaved themselves when President Trump was president. They flexed their muscle from time to time. President Trump kept them in line for many reasons. I mean, there's a method to President Trump's, for lack of better words, madness and how he deals with foreign affairs. So that means, if you think about it, when he was in office, those people were kept at bay. Now we're having all this chaos throughout the world and within our own country because of the people that are running our country. The enemy from within is the greatest threat to American prosperity right now. And the fact that every time President Trump says that, that's met with outrage. Obviously, it's mainstream media manufactured, but that is really what we're up against right now. And I don't know how you feel about that, but that is the most important thing to me right now over the next 4 years that President Trump is back in the White House, taking care of the problems from within.
You know, they're not going to let up if he's elected. You know, and there's partly goodness to that as well because you know he's going to keep his word. All the promises that he made, they're going to hold him accountable for. We can trust that he's going to keep his word, but at the same time, they're not going to back down off of him. They're like bulldogs. And you're right. We are dealing with an enemy from within, and we're dealing with an invasion from within that the Democrats aren't doing anything about. They're keeping the border open. Kamala will likely keep that border wide open so that they can ship illegal migrants strategically to redistrict Republican seats. So we never have a fair election again. There's a reason behind it. The invasion from within has taken lives. We just heard from Rachel Morin's mother. Rachel Morin was a mother of 5. Can you think about that? Her 5 children no longer have their mother because of the invasion from within. Entire apartment complexes are being taken over in Aurora, Colorado. We've heard about it in San Antonio, Texas. And this is just starting. People have been organizing. They've been making calls. They've been planning their next move. We know about over 100 people from the terrorist watch list are in this country, and those are the ones that we know about, not the people who crossed under the cloak of night because they knew they could get in without even being noticed. Think about how many people we have to worry about. There is an invasion from within, there is an enemy from within, and it's clear as day to me that this is a battle between good and evil.
Now, I hate to politicize any of these things that have gone on I'm still obviously, look, I've never really quite gotten used to Kamala Harris or Joe Biden standing behind the seal of the President of the United States, but if there is one good thing that may have came out of the 2020 election, and again, you can't say it's all totally worth it because we lost 13 brave military members in Afghanistan. We lost countless people as a result of the open border, drugs pouring in, aliens committing crimes that result in people dying. And we're going to let you cut to the pre-program.
National spokeswoman for the RNC, Elizabeth Pipko.
We voted Trump and Vance, baby. Vote Trump and Vance, vote Trump and America needs saving. America needs saving. We voted Trump and Vance, baby. Vote Trump and Vance, vote Trump. November 5th, we going crazy. November 5th, we going crazy. Red pill poppin', swerving in the trunk. Republican 4G, Antifa knows what's up. Red, white, and blue, MAGA nation, throw it up. Black, white, and brown, all about it. Democrat Party gon' take your freedom, indicting our president cause they can't beat. It's a two-tier justice system. Put America first, we the big. MJB, 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 MJB. Let's go, Brandon, sing it. We voted Trump and Vance, baby.
Hello, Pennsylvania! Who is ready to put Donald Trump back in that White House? I am so excited to be here with you all right now. Let me tell you, for those who don't know me, my name is Elizabeth Pipko, and I have had the honor for the last 6 months of being the spokeswoman for the GOP, and the even greater honor for the last 8 years of being one tiny member of Team Trump. Now, when I say it's been an honor, I truly mean it. For those who don't know, I'm the daughter of 2 immigrants. My parents came here from the former Soviet Union with $90 each in their pockets, definitely never imagining that this would be their daughter's life one day. But here we are. I remember as a little girl sitting on my grandfather's lap, who I hope is smiling down on me and all of us right now. And we would sit and we would sing along to the national anthem. And he always told me one day, far into the future, you're gonna wake up and realize just how lucky you are to be an American. I think it's safe to say I feel pretty darn lucky right now. I never tell this story, but I feel like my secret might be safe with a few of you in here. When I was growing up, I was a competitive athlete. I thought I was going to go to the Olympics one day, and I got injured and I lost my dream. I was a broken, lost 19-year-old girl in early 2015 when my little brother, my absolute best friend and the smartest person on the planet, came to me and said, I have 2 things to tell you. Number 1, I just heard a rumor that Donald Trump is going to run for president. If that happens, he will in fact be the next president of the United States. And number 2, if you want to fix your life, get back on your feet and find a little inspiration, start watching Donald Trump's videos, start reading his books, and get your life together. So I did. A year later, I started volunteering for the 2016 Trump campaign. A few months later, my brother and I were offered jobs as 2 of probably the youngest staffers on that campaign, and then a couple of weeks later, we were a teeny tiny piece of the team that made American history. And tomorrow, I very much look forward to standing right by my little brother's side and watching Donald Trump make American history once more. Because tomorrow will truly mark the greatest comeback, not only in American history, but in the history of this world. And I cannot wait. You know, Donald Trump doesn't get enough credit for everything he's done. Doesn't get a lot of credit for everything he's taught us and shown us either. And I think what's most important that anyone should learn from Donald Trump, something I hope everyone in this room takes with them for the rest of their lives, is something that he was saying long before he ever ran for president. Obviously, it's something he has shown us every single day these last 8 years, but it's something that he talked about long before he ever started his political career. No matter what hits you, no matter what obstacles you overcome, no matter what comes your way, you can never, ever, ever give up. I ask anyone in this room or listening right now, if you have not yet voted, tomorrow is the most important day of our lives. We have one chance to save our country, the single greatest country on the face of the earth. So I ask you all, vote for your children, vote for your grandchildren, vote for everyone who fought and died so we can be here right now. And vote for those around the world who, like my parents at one point in their lives, looked to this country and to all of us in this room as the beacon of light that we all are. It has truly been the honor of my lifetime. I don't know what I did in a past life to deserve anything I've experienced with you all these last 8 years. It has been an honor to be here with you this afternoon, to be a small part of this journey we've all been on for 8 years, the MAGA movement, which will live on much longer than any of us in here, I'm sure. And it's, of course, my great honor to introduce to you all a woman who needs absolutely no introduction. She's my friend. She's the daughter-in-law of our favorite president, the co-chair of the Republican National Committee, ladies and gentlemen, Laura Trump.
What's up, Pennsylvania? Hey, Mark Cuban, get a load of these smart, strong ladies behind me. And where are my ladies here tonight? Oh! Absolutely love it. Well, guys, it is such an honor to be here. I love you guys. Thank you. Guys, we're 24 hours away from making sure we send a loud and clear message to the mainstream media, to Hollywood, to the establishment, to the Democrats, that it is not them, but we, the people, who are in charge of this country. And we are sending Donald J. Trump back to that White House. I almost can't believe that tomorrow is it, right? I mean, we've been thinking about this for so long, and we're 24 hours away. I mean, this has really been such an incredible ride for the past 9 years of my life. I am so honored to have the last name Trump and be part of this family, something I promise you I never in a million years imagined. I'm also incredibly honored to be your co-chair of the RNC. And in case nobody noticed, we're not going to have any cheating in this election this time around. No. Because right here in Pennsylvania, we've already had some big wins. They tried to shut down early voting in Bucks County. We sued them. And we got 3 extra days for you folks in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to get out and vote early. And we have a very simple message. It's very clear. Don't cheat in our elections, because if you do, we will find you, we will track you down, and we will prosecute you to the full extent of the law. That's simple. We want free, fair, and transparent elections. And by the way, do you guys know this? We offered for our friends over at the DNC to come join us in our pursuit of election integrity. Now, we have yet to hear back on that, but we do still have around 24 hours, so I'll let y'all know if they give us a call. But don't hold your breath. It has also been such an honor to be right there fighting side by side with the greatest president this country has ever seen, a man I'm proud to call my father-in-law, Donald J. Trump, from day one. But you guys probably feel this way too. Isn't it a little bit bittersweet? Like, we're 24 hours away. Guys, we have lived history. Let's face it, there's never going to be another Donald Trump, right? A guy who controlled them so hard, they're mad about him working at McDonald's. A week later, he trolls them so hard, he's driving a garbage truck to a rally in Wisconsin. There'll never be anything like this again. It's absolutely incredible. And so I've kind of been trying to figure out, how do I really feel right now? Because this is such a big day tomorrow, but it is a little bit bittersweet. And I also think about the fact that Donald Trump never needed this job, guys. Remember that, right? He had fame, he had fortune, and if you wondered if he had fortune, he would tell you he had fortune, right? He was a household name. Everybody knew Donald Trump. But there's a very famous Oprah Winfrey interview back in the 80s when she famously asked Donald Trump, would you ever run for president of the United States? And you know what he told her? He said, only if things got so bad, I felt I had no other option. Only if the country needed me. Well, guess what? That's exactly why he ran in 2016, because the country needed him. That's exactly why he ran again in 2020, because he wasn't done. The country still needed him. And that is why, despite every single thing thrown his way, the attacks, the lies, the smears, the impeachments, the indictments, the mugshot that is the greatest mugshot the world has ever seen, even an assassin's bullet, Donald Trump said, I am not done because this country needs me. And let's face it, this country right now needs Donald Trump more than we ever have before, ladies and gentlemen. That's why tomorrow is such a big deal. Now, can I get a show of hands? Who in here voted early in Pennsylvania? Okay, now I love that. But here's what else I love. The rest of y'all that didn't raise your hands, tell me who's voting tomorrow here in Pennsylvania. You absolutely love to see it. I gotta tell you guys something. The Democrats are getting a little nervous right now. Have you noticed? The vote totals aren't really checking out for them in some of these states in the early voting because we have absolutely killed them in the early vote totals all across the country. So get ready for tomorrow. And when you guys go out tomorrow, now you know not to go empty-handed. Pick up your friends, pick up your family, your dentist, your pediatrician, your veterinarian. I don't care. If you gotta buy them a sandwich or mow their lawn, do it if they're going out to vote for Donald Trump and you take them to vote with you tomorrow, okay? Can we do that? So listen, as bittersweet as this kind of is for all of us in the Trump family, this is also very exciting because what I've come to realize and what I think we're all feeling right now in this country is that tomorrow is not the end. Tomorrow is the beginning. Yeah. It's the beginning of a new era in the United States of America, and I'm going to make a prediction right now. Despite all that this man has had against him, despite how much they've attacked him and fought against Donald Trump, it will be Donald J. Trump who unifies this country, who brings us back together, and finally restores the American dream for the United States of America. So I gotta say thank you to you guys. You guys are not just part of a political movement, you are part of our family. We love you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything, for the support, for the love, for the prayers. We have all felt them time and time again. And we are so appreciative. We love you too. Thank you. And so I want you guys to remember this. Tomorrow night is the beginning, because it's not just that Donald Trump is going to make America great again. He's going to make America greater than ever before. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Pennsylvania. Get out and vote. I love you.
We voted Trump and Bears, baby. Vote Trump and Bears, vote Trump and Bears. America needs saving. America needs saving. We voted Trump and Bears, baby. Vote Trump and Bears, vote Trump. November 5th, we going crazy. November 5th, we going crazy. Red pill poppin', swerving in the trunk. Republican 4G, Antifa knows what's up. Red, white, and blue, MAGA nation, throw it up. Black, white, and brown, all about it, Democrat party gon' take your freedom. Indicting our president cause they can't beat. It's a two-tier justice system. Put America first, we the victims. MJB, 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 MJB. Let's go Brandon, sing it. We voted Trump and Bears, baby. Vote Trump and Bears, vote Trump. America needs saving. America needs saving. We voted Trump and Bears, baby. Vote Trump and Bears, vote Trump. November 5th, we going crazy. November 5th, we going crazy. Now I pledge allegiance to vote for Trump. There's a red wave coming, you gon' surf for what? And God I trust to take the devil away. Lock Joe Biden up and throw the key away. Your propaganda ain't gonna work on me. Bidenomics is like you working for free. I demand reparations from every idiot that voted for Joe Biden, boy, period. Period, Sleepy Joe is a fraud. And the bloodbath and the overall fraud. The media is the enemy of the people. The Democrats and the fake news always cheat. MJB, 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 MJB. Let's go Brandon, sing it. We voted Trump and Bears, baby. Vote Trump and Bears, vote Trump. America needs saving. America needs saving. We voted Trump and Bears, baby. Vote Trump and Bears, vote Trump. November 5th, we going crazy. November 5th, we going crazy.
Leaving the stage, doing the lasso dance. She's ready to have a good time tomorrow night when, Lord willing, we all get to celebrate a change of the guard. Finally getting a guard who's going to do his job. Donald J. Trump.
It's such a good message from Lara Trump right there, speaking about the future, not just looking back on the past and the sadness of the campaign ending, but really being excited about what's to come. Before we keep bringing you some of this coverage, we want to read you a message from our friends at AMAC. During this critical election, there's a lot on the line for all Americans. That's why it's more important than ever to stay informed, stay involved, and join a community that stands for your values. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. Members receive a free subscription to the AMAC magazine, exclusive discounts, and a wide variety of benefits, free resources, trusted news, and so much more. President Trump said it best when he said, AMAC is great. AMAC stands strong on the issues that matter to you. Securing our borders, protecting Medicare, and preserving the integrity of our elections. AMAC also fights to protect your freedom and sees that your voice is heard in Washington. So join AMAC today. Be part of the movement that champions your values. Visit amac.us/RSBN or call 1-888-262-2006 to become a member and make a difference. That's amac.us/RSBN or call 1-888-262-2006. And we do have a word, not incredibly confirmed by any means, but President Trump might be speaking here around 3 p.m., probably about an hour behind today. But again, last day of this historic campaign, I'm sure people are going to be hanging around waiting to hear from him one last time before he becomes once again the president-elect of the United States.
You know, you think about it, this has been kind of a whirlwind, especially leading up to tomorrow. The last few days have been heavy. He's been out there campaigning. The man is unstoppable. He showed us his stamina is strong. Most importantly, he showed us what a hard worker he is. But because it's all been sort of a whirlwind, it's hard for some of us to be able to sit back and process just how critically important this election is. And it's not just for us, it's for our kids, it's for the future generations of this country. When you think about the fact that we owe $35 trillion, more than that, in our national debt. It's increasing by $2.4 billion every single day. Our debt to China gets bigger. Our debt to Japan gets bigger. We need to be able to knock that debt down. And President Trump has offered a viable solution. Pennsylvania is a big part of that solution. He wants to drill. He wants to produce natural gas. Fracking. Bring it back. Let this state thrive once again. He's got a plan. Kamala Harris has no plan.
Yeah, they have no plan for American citizens. They have a plan for illegal aliens that they want to import, whether it be through opening the border, busing them into Democrat cities, or even trying to strategically place them in swing states. You look at what happened in New York. In fact, sometimes Joe Biden, it's not Joe Biden, he's obviously not really involved with much, but the Biden administration would fly illegal aliens by airplane into the United States overnight, very discreet. I believe there was a report from Just the News that really exposed what was going on. And look, the immigration issue, they try to make it a humanitarian issue, the Democrat Party. They try to tell you that it's the humanitarian way to welcome these people that are seeking refuge. Number one, that's not all the people that are coming in. We're getting young, military-aged men, single. They're not bringing their families. They look like they're ready to fight. They're being placed throughout the country. And then the ones that actually are potentially seeking refuge, they're setting them up in Brooklyn schools, displacing children out of their classrooms, returning them to remote learning, which was such a destruction for the learning process for kids during COVID. They're having these migrants sleep on tents on the floor of schools. That's not a humanitarian answer to a crisis. Even if you take them in from a bad situation, you're not helping them assimilate into American culture. You give them no incentive to do that. In fact, you're incentivizing them to do exactly what they're doing. There used to be a sense of pride for immigrants who come to this country legally. They wanted to become Americans. They wanted to learn the culture. The illegal aliens that are coming in now, they feel a sense of entitlement because so many tens of millions of illegal aliens have came in before them. They're given phones, they're given cash, they're given really ways to go live on their own in society. There's no court date. They just basically spread throughout the country, and they're here to stay under the Biden administration. That's not really helping anybody. In fact, it's actually hurting Americans, obviously, but it's also hurting the illegal aliens that are coming in. And it's really a problem that I think the humanitarian issue that they've tried to make it into is falling flat on its face because immigration right now is such a top issue for voters as a result of the Biden-Harris administration.
Yeah, there's no humanity in people sleeping on park benches because they can't get a job without a state driver's license or a state ID. There is no humanity in that, and that is exactly what's happening right now. Not to mention the fact that if they are granted mass asylum from Kamala Harris, as she has already made it clear she will do, American jobs are at risk. The manufacturing sector is also huge in this part of the country, in Pennsylvania, in the Midwest to be exact. Jobs are at risk. Americans are already in debt. They're swimming in credit card debt. They've had to go into their 401k just to compensate for the high inflation. There's no humanity in what's happening at the border. And you think about the fentanyl crisis, all the fentanyl that's pouring across the border. The supply is so big here right now that you can buy it on the street for $0.25 a pill. Think about all the people who are going to die from fentanyl addiction, because that's not going to stop. And that's the Mexican drug cartels working with China, side by side, to pump our cities, our neighborhoods, full of fentanyl.
And obviously safety is way more important than anything political, but I will say, when Elon Musk says if the Democrats win this election, it will be the last election, he's absolutely right. Now, obviously the people up here on the risers around us, they spin that as taking it literally, saying we're not going to have elections anymore. What Elon Musk is saying, and I'm sure our viewers understand this, is if you import 20 million illegal aliens and you grant them citizenship, as much of the Democratic Party has signaled they want to do, and you place them in Arizona, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, really anywhere throughout the country, there goes your elections. We'd be sitting here in 4 years from now saying, this election is over. You can't keep up with millions and millions of people. If you look at the margins in some of these swing states, it sometimes comes down to 40,000 votes across 3 states. I mean, you think about that. They say President Trump lost the 2020 election by that margin. They say he beat Hillary Clinton by around that same margin in 2016. Well, if you got 20 million illegal aliens come into this country, 1 million of them in any select state, that's the election right there. I mean, if they turn out to vote, which I'm sure they'd be incentivizing them to do even further, you no longer have swing states. America would become California. Now, that's not fear-mongering. That's to really encourage people to get out and vote so that that does not happen. Because if that is the case, look at what's happening in California right now. You look at cities like San Francisco, which is quite literally because of Kamala Harris, people like Gavin Newsom out there. California is always the test tube for what radical left rule would really be throughout the rest of the country. That is what America would turn into if we allow Kamala Harris to become the next president of the United States. Send in millions and millions of illegal aliens, put them strategically throughout the country. That's what America would turn into, not something that anybody, regardless of political party, really wants to see.
No, and for those of you who are in rural America, in rural parts of the country in particular, those are the areas that are red. They don't need more votes.
Pillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.